Good morning. I'm Becky Seda. I know we've met. A lot of you have met. Some of you I haven't. I'm Becky Seda. I'm going to be your moderator today. We're going to do a couple of housekeeping notes. So, as you know, we have a lot of education partners that show up to support this so that you guys can come and enjoy this at no cost. And Amy does a really good job. Part of her job is making sure that our education partners bring items of value, things that would actually be meaningful for you and things that you would want to, hang on to. And she always tells me before I go up on stage, hey, did you see this handout over here, this handout over there? And she hands it to me and I bring it up here with all of the intention in the world to tell you what's on that handout. And then I start going through my slides and I don't get to what's on the handout. So I thought, Amy, what interesting handouts did you see from our education partners today?
We have a lot and I love it. It makes me so happy when I see them. So there is one, Kristen from Arbus printed one out that is talking about we're going to talk about building your community around you, how does it get that support group going around you. She has a handout back there. We went ahead and brought back the scam and resources one so that we could come back for that as well, because it gives you resources on who to call. If you get in a fraud situation, not 911, you call one of these numbers. And then we've got guest panelists that brought a ton of different resources. So the SALT program has their calendar and seminars up and they're meeting here. And then there was one other, and I cannot remember, but there's a lot of them back there. So please go to all the tables. They love to talk to you guys, and they really do work hard on making sure they bring something that's just individualized for you guys each time. So
yeah, so we do. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So we do. I'm telling you what, Amy Ryan makes it where I can just come and stand up and everything else is taken care of. So I appreciate her very much. We appreciate our education partners, and y'all go ahead and find a seat so that we can get ready for the seminar. Yeah. Let's see what we have coming up. All right, so fun fact, in March, my husband and I will be out of town, so the beloved Chris and Nikki Buffalo are going to help us out in March. The truth about renovations and repairs, what smart homeowners need to know. So this is going to be things like, we're going to have a home inspector talking about some things that he's seen during home inspections that are concerning. We're going to talk about what misconceptions are out there about what adds value to your home and what does not. So it's going to be a really important conversation, and I hope that you'll come. I can't wait to watch it on YouTube because I won't be able to be here with you, but Chris and Nikki will be able to hold down the fort, and I'm so thankful to them. So please sign up for that one. The truth about property taxes, where your money actually goes. This kind of light lilac color signifies that one is at the Moore Norman Technology Center and not here. So we are going to have Larry Stein come and speak to us in April at Moore Norman Technology Center. This is going to be a really, really good conversation because a lot of people have questions about where is this giant tax bill that I pay every year going. So I'm excited to have that conversation with him. Bring your hard questions, and I'm sure he'll bring his bow tie. If you've ever seen Larry, he's always got a bow tie. Okay, Acclaim. So we're doing a tour on February 11th. That is something that you can sign up for. I know that I've said it before, knowing where you don't want to go is just as important as where you do want to go. As Acclaim is an awesome community. So even if you think, hey, that's not for me, I'm going to live in my house until the end of my days, make sure you come and visit Acclaim and see if that's something that would be a good fit for you as a plan B. If you know that that's not the direction that you want to go right off the bat. But I love Acclaim. And if you are looking for a senior community, you need to be out touring them. And this is a really good, safe, low pressure way for you to just come and see and check it out. So please come with us. We always have a really good time. And I love Acclaim. If you're a Facebook person, Acclaim posts on their Facebook page all the time about all the different activities that they're doing. So please come with us and check out Acclaim. The OKC Rehab Hospital tour is going to be great. They've just done a major renovation. So we're going to go and check that out and let them show off their new equipment and rooms and all of what they have to offer. And then we're going to talk about the truth about storms, insurance, and timings. This is a expert insight. We've called these workshops in the past. Elena's going to help us out with this. So this is not a big seminar like what we're doing. So if you have not been to a workshop before, I would encourage you to come to these expert insights. It's a smaller group setting where lots of questions, very interactive. And today we're going to talk about the truth about calling 911. So what do you guys want to learn about today? I did this on South Oklahoma City. I took a couple of raised hands, and that helps me know exactly what you're here for and exactly what you're looking for. So anybody wanting to learn something specific today? Yes, ma'am.
Who comes first when I call 911?
So Nikki wants to know who comes first when she calls 911. That's a really great question. Anybody else? Any other? So free for all. Okay, we can talk about anything then. Okay. Well, let me go ahead and talk about our truth today. If something didn't, panelists, go ahead and come on it while I'm going over this. Sorry. If something doesn't feel right, it's okay to call. Being proactive gives you confidence, not fear. So we're going to talk about, come on up. Yep, grab your seat. I'm excited to talk about this today and remembering that if you need to call, you need to call, and that's okay. So we will be talking about that. Okay, perfect. How are you doing today, guys? Good?
Fantastic.
Good. All right, so let's see. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do and how long you've been doing that as well.
My name is Kira. I am a 911 dispatcher for the city of Moore, and I've been doing it for about 3.5 years now.
Okay.
My name's David. I'm a lieutenant with the Oklahoma City Fire Department. I've been a paramedic for 5 years. My main job is to drive the fire engine, and I'm in charge of the patient non-medical treatment on scene.
Are you on?
My name is Mikhail Washington. I'm a sergeant at the Moore Police Department. I've been on patrol for about 10 years now.
Okay, great. Kira, tell us a little bit about the award you won.
So back in, I believe it was 2023, the summer of 2023, I took a call from a 10-year-old boy whose grandma had fallen. She had MS. She was bleeding. So I walked him through and I stopped the bleeding. I gave him the instructions he needed to help her and to make sure that the first responders could get in. And from that call, just because of how well he did, the city decided to have us meet. So we got together. He got an award from our chief of police. And then we had a little party just to celebrate him and how well he did and that he meant. And from there, the First Responders Children's Foundation out of New York City was actually in Oklahoma and saw the news coverage and submitting me for a national award that they host every year in October. And I was selected, so they sent me out to Oklahoma City to stand beside other first responders.
New York City.
Yes, to New York City, and to stand beside other first responders and just recognize what each one of us do day in and day out on Times Square.
Was that good? Yeah. We're so excited to have you, and I know that I mean you each have changed lives, and that is just a really amazing. That's an amazing story. And you said he was 10 years old?
Yes, he was 10. And they had actually jetted into that house a couple years prior, or a couple weeks prior to that incident. And then just knowing his address and his phone number really helped us be able to get help to his family quicker.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. Good. Okay, so I want to get into it. What is the biggest misconception that you see, and I'm going to ask each of you this, that you see about people calling 911? What's the biggest misconception?
From a 911 dispatcher's perspective, is when we answer that call that we automatically know where you guys are calling from. That's not always the case. You may be calling from Moore, but you actually may be Oklahoma City. And so just us getting that information and just,
David, what do you see the misconception being?
our biggest goal is to make sure that you guys get the best care possible as quickly as possible. A lot of times people feel like calling 911 while their emergency might not be the biggest emergency. They feel like doing so can get them on an ambulance and into the hospital and get the fast treatment. And a lot of times, it being on an ambulance doesn't change anything once you get to the hospital. You go through the same process that every person does. You'll be triaged, and they'll try to determine what's going on and what order you go in based on the other emergencies that are taking place at the moment in the hospital. So a lot of times, waiting or making sure to basically taking the time to get to the hospital, transporting yourself and getting there sometimes quicker than us coming and trying to spend the time to get you set up and getting you an IV, and even the extra cost of an ambulance ride is going to be beneficial for you when just going to the hospital, because they're going to triage you the same way. We don't want you guys to waste time or to waste money using an ambulance when your best bet might actually to be go to the hospital quicker by yourself. Now, obviously, don't let that be hey, I'm just going to go by myself. We want you to call anytime you feel that you need to. But that's kind of a misconception I kind of feel.
That's good. I don't think you said that during our call.
I did.
Okay, that's very cool. All right. And yep.
Something that I see that folks, when they think they call us, that we're going to show up lights and sirens or each and every time, MSTAT and police are going to show up. It's all depending on the call that you guys have. If there's a suspicious person inside your house.
Be a little bit louder for me.
If you have a suspicious person outside your house and you call us, we're more than likely not going to show up lights and sirens unless it's an emergency. More often than not, there's going to be two of us. And if we get on scene and we see something that may be a little off, we may call some more of our brains, MSTAT, fire, some more officers. And the officers on scene will be able to talk you through and be transparent with you guys about what the next steps are going forward.
Great. Well, so kind of on the same vein as what David was talking about, I would like for us to have a quick conversation about what have you seen to be riskier, waiting too long or calling too soon? And I'll start with Kara.
I always feel waiting too long can be risky just because we delayed help at that point. I feel like it's better to call too soon and stop the problem before it escalates to something more serious. And then the paramedics get there and they feel like we need to be transported, then they transport you versus them having to take you and the situation becomes more severe and life-threatening at that point.
Yeah. And I think some people think that they're, going to be a burden if they're bothering somebody or something like that. David, what do you see when somebody calls too soon versus too late?
It doesn't matter to us if you call soon, too soon. If that doesn't hurt our feelings, we're there. I mean, that's our job, is to provide the service to take care of you during a medical emergency. If you feel like you're having a medical emergency, you know your bodies, you know what's going on a lot better than we do. We might look at you and go, well, you look fine. And I've seen a lot of people that look fine, and then things went south fast. So to wait because either you feel like you're going to be a burden or you're going to bother us, that's our job. That's what we're there for. So don't wait. The other thing is that there are certain points where your body will compensate with whatever's going on, whether it's a heart issue, whether it's a lung issue, whether it's a blood sugar issue. Your body's going to compensate for so long, and then it's going to stop compensating. And we're going to go from a point where we can treat you and things will go well and there won't be any after effects, and it will come out as the same way that you were before. And then there will be a point in which things will start to get bad and it'll be hard on your body. Your recovery will be longer. So call when you start noticing things to go south. Let us do our job. We're not afraid to do it. You're not a burden. That's what we signed up for when we decided to be firefighters and dispatchers and police officers and medical responders and paramedics. So don't be afraid to call or to wait. That can be very dangerous. And then can get to the point where it is too late and we can't do anything. We don't want to come at that point. We really hate that, honestly. That's what we don't like. We don't want to see you all.
Yep.
To piggy back up Kira here, we would much rather stop the threat, the suspicious person, the problem you had before it becomes a more serious problem. And to foreshadow into the next topic that we talked about, what your taxes go for, your taxes pay us. We are here for you guys.
It's true. It's true. That's true. That's very true. Okay, so if you look at your handout, there's a place on there like, which should I call 911? So that's the section that we're going to talk about next. Make sure you make some notes on that. But for this audience, what are some situations where you would say, don't hesitate, please call 911, even if it feels uncomfortable?
Chest pains, headaches. If you hear something that outside of the house that is not normal, you call that in. Just anything that is outside of normal, whether it's physically or inside of your or outside of your residence, those are we take those seriously and we respond to those as it is a serious incident. And when we get there, we determine whether it is serious or not at that point.
Yeah. And when you say headaches, you're talking about not that little, I haven't had enough water.
Yeah, something's not right. I've eaten, I've been working, I've consumed water, I've taken medications, or it's a sudden headache that you never experienced before.
Okay, that's great. David, what would you say?
Yeah, very long. Along the same lines. Obviously, chest pain, difficulty breathing. Usually those are the top two things that we do. Falls. A lot of people, they think that they fall and everything's okay, and they hit their head, and it doesn't. You really want to get checked out. If my grandmother would fall, or even my mother would fall and hit her head, I would want her to go get checked out, because as you get older, long term, it takes longer for the symptoms to come, brain bleed or something like that. Get checked out. Take care of yourself. And let's say the health, it seems like a silly thing. And when we get on in our rig, we see a headache is what we're responding to. Sometimes it feels a little silly, but it also can be a sign of a stroke, of severely high blood pressure. Basically, you treat it and taken care of. And so you don't want to wait till those things become untreatable. And you have after side effects and things like that.
When we respond to calls like that,
You're so quiet.
one thing, but not one to yell at you guys. You guys hear me good now? I'll try to keep it here. What we see on our call log, we'll see the falls, the headaches, or the traumatic injury. Time and time again, if officers are in the area, they'll stop by if we're close and there's nothing else going on, just to see if there's anything we can do, information we can gather for our medical first responders that show up. So instead of them getting, hey, what's your name, date of birth, they can immediately go into triaging and providing that medical services to you guys, instead of, hey, we need her name, we need his name, it's his info, everything like that. We work well with our fire department and staff, and we hand that information over to them. That way you guys can get the care that you guys need faster.
And this is not, I think the reason why I want to ask this next question is because I don't think it really applies to many of the people in the room. But when would you say not to call 911? Because I know you get some calls that are maybe not a 911 call. So let's talk about those for just a minute, so that they know that they truly are, like, they are calling when they need to call. So let's talk about maybe some of those calls that are not 911 calls.
Cats and trees.
Cats and trees, she's back. Yeah, yes.
They got eventually sundown.
That real quick on that, we've never found a dead cat in a tree, so you don't need to talk in this.
Hey, but what else?
One thing that I see time and time again is neighbor disputes. My neighbor's being really loud. If it's 2, 3 in the afternoon and we're being neighborly, we can go talk to Miss Smith, our neighbor. Hey, Miss Smith, I've got a big work appointment tomorrow. You mind shutting it down by 5, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, so I can get some rest for my appointment tomorrow? And just being neighborly. Now, if it is a nasty neighbor dispute and you guys have gone back and forth and we've tried to be neighborly about it, call us and we can be the mediator. But if this is a one-off that Miss Smith, your neighbor, is being loud and you've got an important meeting or work event, appointment, or anything like that, maybe pop outside. Hey, Miss Smith, you mind knocking it off by 8 o'clock? Getting back to that neighborly sense.
To just be a good communicator with your neighbors. Okay, good deal. So no caps. Yeah. Okay, very good. Noted. I hope you write that on your handouts. Okay. So, logistically speaking, I would like to talk through a little bit about what happens the moment someone dials 911, and let's talk about what information you need first.
So as the 911 dispatcher, when that phone rings and I answer it, the first question I'm going to ask is, what is the address of the emergency? Nothing else matters if we do not have that address. We can't send resources to you if we do not know where you are at. The second thing is a callback phone number, just because if we get disconnected, I need to know what number to call back at. And then we also have for your name. And that's just, I really use that as a personal thing. As I'm on the phone with you, I can use your name. If you feel stressed, calling people by their first names can help bring that situation down a little bit and just bring a little bit of peace. And then after we got in those three things, the next thing I'm going to say is, okay, tell me exactly what happened. And in that phrase, that's where we get our most important information on what's going on with you guys and determine what resources you need at that point. So based on what you say, I'll make a decision on if I need to build that some police call, a medical call, or a fire-related call. And then we just go through, we ask a ton of questions, and sometimes it can feel very, very overwhelming. But the whole point of that is to just give you guys the best help that you can possibly get from you. And I am not a medical professional, but I do have the resources to guide you guys through what the next step is going to look like. And it's just reassuring that help is on the way and stay on that line with you until that hope goes down.
So what I'm hearing you say is trust the system. So when someone calls in and they want to immediately start telling you the issue, you're saying we have to get some other information first.
And sometimes we will essentially cut you off, and it's not necessarily to be rude. It's just we have to stay on task in order to get those resources to you as soon as possible. And if we finish answering those questions, we can talk about whatever you want for as long as you need to, but we have to get those questions answered.
Okay. So, also logistically speaking, so you're taking a call, and in that time, how are you alerting, David to come out to the house? Like, what does that process look like, and then we'll hear from David on what it looks like from his end.
Yeah. So at more we have so once I had an address, a name, and a phone number, and I get that, okay, tell me exactly what happened as a situation notated, the call drops into what we call our CAD system, and that provides my partners who are agreeing with me with enough information to start resources. So if it's a medical call, we will start tuning out the fire department and medical. If it's a police-related call, then we start dispatching police to the area. And so that is what we do. And we continue to ask questions. And the questions that we ask do not slow down the response at all. As soon as we have that address and we have that phone number and name, we can keep going, and the response time does not slow down at all.
Okay. Yep. Mikhail?
And to kind of piggyback off of her there, when it drops in the CAD system, the police, we're able to see it on our screen as well. So we may be able to see it is a police-related call, a noise disturbance, medical, domestic, whatever it is. We will start to the area, but we may not have all the information because the officer may show up before all the information is put in the call card. And so it may be frustrating that you just told our dispatcher all that information, but when we arrive on scene, we're asking the similar questions, and it ties hand in hand about being quick, fast, and information sharing. That when we arrive on scene, we may ask the similar questions.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And David, when you guys get the alert, what does that look like on your end, and how quickly do you move?
Okay, so we're always at the station basically ready to go. Ours is a little different. We're not in a patrol car. We're not kind of in our vehicle ready to move. And so our sons will go off at the station, whatever we're doing, we'll get up from where we're at, we'll put on our gear, jump in the rig, and then respond. Now, depending on what comes through dispatch, if we're responding, an ambulance is responding with us. Our fire engines, every fire engine has advanced life safety equipment on it. I'm a paramedic, which is the level of care that an ambulance has. We can do everything that an ambulance can do. And so we will make our way. We'll got the address and the information of what's taking place, whether it's a chest pain, fall, breathing difficulty, seizure, diabetic issue, whatever it might be. Or then respond code 3, which is our lights and sirens, to the address. We'll show up on scene and begin doing what we need to do to make sure to manage the issue. On the same plane, as far as the information that's being given to dispatch, when we arrive on scene, after 8 years of seeing multiple different kinds of incidents and all the different things that are happening, a lot of times we are looking at a much bigger picture than you guys might be seeing. Especially when you get nervous and things are high tension and high stress, we may look like we don't care or that we're not excited. And that's because we're trained to not get overly excited. We're going to be calm, cool, collected, and we need to step back and look at everything that's going on. We were talking about headaches earlier. We may show up and you have a headache. It could be that your blood pressure, you think it's your medication, and you might think it's this, but also it just had a cold snap and you started running your fireplace for the first time. And all of a sudden we've got a CO issue on our hand where everybody can be sick. And we might go, oh no, it's just a headache. Well, I don't want to go to the hospital. If you leave you at home, and all of a sudden you have carbon monoxide poisoning. So we're going to be coming and showing up, looking at the whole picture, trying to figure out what's going on, and then treating you appropriately. All of our engines, I believe all of Moore's engines have four firefighters on the scene. So there's going to be a bunch of us. And we're going to be looking at your house. We don't judge you. Don't worry about it. My house isn't perfect either. But we're going to be looking at maybe how well you're able to stand up yourself. How well maybe the issue may not be that you're sick. It may be that you're malnourished. And we're going to be looking at how well you're able to take care of yourself. Does it look like you've been eating? Is there food all over the place? Is there trash all over the place? To try to find even not only treating your current situation, but also using the resources of what we talk about later to try to fix other problems that may be causing the issues that are taking place, the health issues, the falls, all those types of things, because there's a lot of tools out there that you can use to keep those things from taking place.
Yeah.
So we'll come in and treat you, and then the ambulance will show up, will transfer you over to their care, and then they will either transport you or, depending upon what you want, we don't have to transport you. So we'll talk about that, I believe, here a little bit too.
Yeah, that's great. And I think also just knowing that, that I think I love what you said about remaining calm, because that's exactly what it does feel like. Why are you not more shook up about this? I need you to be shook up. But I mean, if you can imagine if they showed up and you were in distress and then all of them got in distress, like nothing would get done. So that's fantastic that they do that training. Here, tell me why it's so important that you're staying on the line with them as long as you're staying on the line with them.
So we don't always have to stay on the line with you guys, but in certain circumstances, especially if you're in the rednecks alone, we're going to stay on the line with you. If you're having chest pains, if you're having that headache or stroke body symptoms, breathing problems, or you're just scared and you don't want to be alone until the help gets there, we're going to do that because you never know what's going to happen. I could disconnect in the next thing you could have a cardiac arrest. And so by me staying on the line, I'm able to listen and hear if there's a change in your tone, if there's a change in the background of what's going on behind you. If you start talking differently, I'm able to hear that and update my partners and also update the first responders that are coming out to you to let them know, hey, this is taking place. My caller was talking to me and now they're not responding to me. That's a concern. And so that changes states when they get in there. Now they may be coming into an unresponsive patient instead of a patient that is cautious and brave.
Perfect. Yeah, Mikhail, do you have something?
Yeah, a real world example of that recently that I was involved in, there was a cardiac arrest patient, and when I arrived on scene, the son was doing CPR. I took over CPR, and I was no longer able to handle my radio. Well, the caller stayed on the phone with dispatch, and I was able to relay information to dispatch through the phone and nonstop CPR until MSTAT and fire arrived. So that's one of the real world example that when staying on the phone with them will be beneficial for everybody involved.
Excellent. I love that. Okay. The next thing that's on your handout says, what are my rights in a medical emergency? So David and Mikhail, this is for you guys. We hear a lot of concern about ambulance. When an ambulance, is it automatically sent? And if somebody doesn't want to get in it, what are their rights and what are your responsibilities as far as ambulance transportation?
So me personally, when I arrive on scene, I like to gather information and get a baseline of what your norm is. Are you normally a anxious person, a nervous person, a happy person, a cheerful person? And at Moore, we do what's called geopolicing. Officers are in one area for the whole year, and then more often than not, they're going to get that same district for the year. I've been in what's our District 1 for over 4 or 5 years. So I have a pretty good understanding of our regular callers and just the citizens in that neighborhood. And so when I arrive on scene and I know Miss Jackson is normally a calm, happy lady, but today she's very, very aggravated. Miss Jackson, what's going on? And we're able to gauge where her baseline is at and what the problem is there.
As far as what your rights are, as far as not having to go in an ambulance or having to go in an ambulance, there's liabilities involved with us leaving you at a certain place. We're never going to tell you not to go to the hospital. And I don't say that because we want you to ride the ambulance because we get some kind of kickback. That's not what it is. What it is that you called 911 for a reason and you have concern, and we can't fully understand that concern because we're not you. And so if you feel like you need to go to the hospital, we're going to encourage you to go get checked out. If you are A&O times 4, which is what we call it.
What is it?
Okay, A&O times 4.
What does that mean?
So A&O times 4 means that there's 4 different things. We need to know that you know where you're at, you know who you are, you understand kind of the events going on in the world, and that you have the ability to kind of make decisions. So we might ask you, usually it's, do you know where you're at? If I gave you 4 quarters, how much money would you have? The ability to kind of make what we would all consider simple decisions, simple thoughts. And if you are not A&O times 4, liability-wise and just really safety-wise, unless that's your norm, because as we all get older, there are things that make our brain work a little bit less. That's understandable. But if that's not what you work back in what? And so I was talking with somebody about it, the game so we'll get it up and I'm the grace. So basically making sure that if you can't make those simple decisions, we legally can't leave you to make your own medical decisions. The doctors won't let us. Legally, we can't. Now, you might not want to go, and that's what it gets we're real good at coercing. And I say coercing, trying to encourage you. These things are going on with your body. This isn't your norm. This probably isn't going to get better until we start working on making it better. So let's go to the hospital and get it checked out. Now, if you know what's going on, you're able to answer all of our questions appropriately. Even if you are having a heart attack, if you're having what we call a widowmaker, which is a left-sided heart attack that very few people survive, we have left people on steam because they were able to make all of those decisions and they just didn't want to keep going and they died. But that's their decision to make. We can't kidnap them. It would be considered kidnapping if we took you against your will and you were able to make all those decisions. Now, an ambulance is going to show up. If you fall, an ambulance is going to show up. If we get a medical call, an ambulance is going to show up. That doesn't mean you have to go. You have the right to say no, and that's okay. And guess what we'll do? We'll go to the next call. It'll be okay. We'll be all right. We'd rather come and be there and be able to transport you and take care of you than it not.
Okay. So, do you have something to add?
I was just gonna say, along with that, if you call and you decide that you don't want to go, and then those symptoms persist, you can call again, and we will come back out. You call again, and we will come back out. So don't think that just because you called once and you said, "Oh, I'm not gonna go," that we're just going to say, "Oh, sorry, you already called us." Was you use your 911 to get your like out and like we will come out as many times as you call us.
Good deal. That's great. Yeah.
And on the police side of that, if you call the police and it's the problem has stopped, more often than not, an officer's going to at least respond to the area to ensure that the problem has stopped. And more often than not, the problem's going. But I've had it happen to where the caller was coerced into stopping the call, and they actually needed police response.
You kind of decide something, releasing a waiver, if you don't know.
Yeah, we'll get you.
You can answer. We are going to do lots of Q&As in the end. So if you have a question, write it down. But I like that. That's a great question. Thank you.
Sounds important.
Yeah.
Of actually refusing. So we do what's called refusal. It releases us from it. Basically, you say, okay, you understand that it is against medical advice because we don't know what's going on and we can't tell you that everything's perfect. I'm a paramedic. I'm not a doctor. I can tell you a lot of stuff that's right, but then there's a lot of stuff I can do blood work and I can do a lot of other things that can tell a lot of other stuff going on in your body. So we always encourage everyone to get checked out. You'll have to sign a refusal, say, because you understand that it's your own choice to not go to the hospital, and anything that happens beyond this point is your own responsibility. That's just what the fire department has us do.
Okay, so and I'm thinking that A&O times 4 is alert and oriented.
It is.
Okay, so alert and oriented for those of you who were curious what that A&O is. Okay, so kind of covered that. So the next part on your handout, guys, is what information should I have ready and available? And I've got some, nope, wrong one. Yeah. We've got some tips, but what should every household have prepared for an emergency? What is helpful to a dispatcher?
I would say helping for a dispatcher is just to be able to provide us with as much information as possible. And whether you're calling for yourself or you're calling for someone else, if you know them, just give us that information. You can word vomit, and we're gonna pick up the information.
She said word vomit. She didn't say you can vomit. They can't. You go to because she said word vomit.
And we're gonna take out the information that is the most important and most valuable for our responders, and we're gonna put that information into the call, and just making sure that you have a way to either for responders to get into your residence or a way to make sure that that door is unlocked so that you don't have to be damaged.
Yeah, and I think we've got that here in big yes, we do need to talk about damage here shortly. David, what's helpful to you for people to have readily available for you when you show up?
So on medical calls, we're looking for really if you're not able to answer our questions, things we need like a name, date of birth, different stuff like that, mainly because we'll take your name and date of birth and we can enter you into a database so we collect that information as we continue to respond to people. And it helps us to kind of get a fast information back to us. If we can reference that information and we'll know some of this information that we actually do need to have written down. So if anything on your fridge, a list of the medications that you take, a list of your past medical history. And by medical history, I don't mean the last time you had a tummy ache or something like that. Heart attacks, heart surgeries, major surgeries, diabetes, any medications that you take on a daily basis. And those things help us understand biologically what could be taking place. I'm not going to say that because I can't say that. we run on individuals where we might have show up on scene and they have breathing difficulty, and but they have a history of emphysema and chronic bronchitis, so it's normal for them. Their SpO2, their oxygen levels, and their blood are low. Well, that's normal for them because of their congestive heart failure, or whatever it might be. And it helps us to not either overtreat or undertreat certain symptoms that we see, because not everybody's the same. List of medications, list of medical history, and your allergies. We don't want to give you any medicine that's going to make things worse, because that makes our day much, much worse. We don't want to hurt you in any way. So your medications, and that's kind of on the general things that
We see often the stickers on the front of your window on your front porch says, "I've got 2 dogs, 2 cats," and it's beneficial, but it may also harm you guys. There's people who are not great in this world, and they're going to use that to take advantage of you. They could see, oh, Miss Smith has 2 dogs. Okay, I hear 2 dogs in the back. And I'm going to break into her house. I don't have to worry about getting bit by a dog. So yes, that information is helpful, but the best place to put it is right side the door, on the fridge, things like that.
Well, is that also information that they could give the dispatcher? I mean, is that, because they could give the dispatcher that information as well, yeah?
Yes, information like that helps a lot. When we go to a medical emergency, like a fall, they're not able to get up, or a cardiac arrest, and they're not able to come to the door, knowing what we're getting into at least a little bit, at least the settings and other people inside the residence, helps us prepare for what's going forward. I see on there, who knows your routine? Getting with the neighbor, maybe giving your neighbor your gate code, or if you're familiar with them, your gate code, or having your neighbor know your, in case of emergency. I hope who all here has ICE, in case of emergency contact, in their phone. Good, love seeing that. We that helps a lot.
Okay, so let's pause. Let's talk about that for just a second. For those of you who did not raise your hand, what he said was ICE, so ICE, in case of emergency. I believe that my parents have each other in their phones like that. I think I've seen that. But just making sure that if you can't remember right away, you can at least, get your phone to the person and they can call your emergency contact. So in case of emergency, you can save that in their contact before their name. Just put ICE in all caps and then their name, and save it in your phone that way. And then if a first responder can get to your phone and make that phone call.
And a real world example of when I've had to use this, we had a senior who wasn't really familiar with Moore. Ended up driving in the middle of the park. She didn't want to call her mom or her daughter, but she needed to call her daughter. She needed someone there with her. She was alert and oriented, AN40, AN04?
No times 4.
ANO times 4.
Got you.
But I think it was more the embarrassment of, I finally got out to drive and I got turned around. We were able to get into her phone and look. All we had to do was look up ICE, and we found her daughter's number. Daughter was working. We called her. Daughter responded, and everything was handled perfectly. She was taken care of. Her car was taken care of. Nobody was hurt. So, I mean, that's just a real world example of how that was beneficial to us, her, and everybody involved.
Perfect. Thank you. So Kiara, tell me about how notes that are already in the system help you.
For one, it gives us a history of what we're dealing with. If there's a repeat caller, a lot of medical history, and you just have some of the same symptoms over and over and over again. It just lets us know, hey, this is a caller that has a lot of medical history, and we can use that when it comes time. If you are home alone and you're not able to answer my questions, I have a log now of calls that you made to us, and I can go back as far as our system will let us and say, hey, this person has an extensive medical history, we should probably get someone out there because they're not answering my questions. And we can just restart anybody at that point just to make sure that everything is good, and especially if it is a house or a resident that has an extensive medical history. It also just kind of, when we put our notes into the CAD system as you guys are giving them the information, that just lets our responders know what they're getting themselves into, how to prepare as they enter the residence, and kind of what to expect when they go in them.
So, and we're going to talk about some systems that are out there here in just a minute that I know that you, Mikhail, have a lot of information on, but I did want you to know that, yes, you need to have some of these things available, but they are also taking notes as well. David, I want to talk about, so there's a note on there that says hidden keys for emergencies. And I know, so I had an open house on a knots one time, and everybody who came through the open house thought that they asked questions about the safety. And I thought, this is so strange that they keep asking me. This is a great little neighborhood. And then I saw why they were asking me those questions. It wasn't my listing. It was somebody else's listing. The back door had very clearly been accessed, and it was not actually a break-in. It was an emergency that they weren't ready for. So talk to me a little bit about damage to your property in times of emergencies.
Oh, yeah, okay. The stuff we do. So we are firefighters, and we are notoriously known for tearing stuff up. We're good at it, but when we need to get in for an emergency, for a medical emergency, on what it is. So if it's a fall or something like that, let's say it's just a personal assistance. There are times where individuals live by themselves. They fall out of their chair and they're unable to get up, get out. Some of them even are unable to crawl to where they were able to use their phone, but they're unable to crawl and get up to unlock the door. They're unable to do a lot of different things. At that point, we have to make entry in some way. There's a couple of ways we do it. We don't talk about some of them because some of them made your house. We don't just give away. I'm not going to let YouTube know an easy way to get into your house. And then do minimal damage. But if we can't get in those ways, we're going to basically break your door down. So you don't do it with an axe like you see in like these, that things look like in the Shining or anything crazy like that. What we do is we'll basically pry and we'll take that dead bolts in place, and we will push it through your door frame, which will tear out the back end of your door frame, which sometimes can be locked back. We usually have some screws and some drills and stuff like that that we use for different things on our rig that we might try to kind of band-aid it back together so that you at least have a semi-secure house. But what the problem is then you have an unsecured house. You live by yourself. We just created another problem. We don't want to do that. Sorry, this is a long story just telling you. So there are a couple things you can do. If you have a keypad on your garage, you can tell the dispatcher the keypad number so that we can get it that way. We can also save that information into our CAD system, which is our response system, so that anytime I get a call from that house, I have a little place that I can click and it will tell me what that keypad number is. You can also hide a key in different places. There's little magnetic boxes. You can hide them underneath some, on top of some. There's fake rocks. They could be anywhere in your house, under lamps, in lights. Figure out a place where you want to hide it.
Why would you hide a key in your house, though?
Outside your house. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. So you hide it outside your house so that we can gain access to you and then unlock your door and make entry without damaging your door. You can call us. Let's say you've hidden that key. You've decided that this is what you want to do. You can call the non-emergent number and say, hey, this is my address. I've got a key hidden and I want you guys to know that it's here. Can you put it in the notes so that anytime you guys have to respond, this will be a part of the information that they have so that we can make entry without damaging your house. And it can be pretty rough on those door frames, and it can be quite a bit to get that all put back together. We don't want that to be an extra cost for you or anything like that, or anything that just keeps you on safety because your house is unsecured.
So you don't come back and fix their door later.
Unfortunately, no. And that doesn't seem fair, but that's I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great important conversation because this is the purpose of being proactive versus, and I'm sure that knowing the garage code to get to somebody is a lot more expedient than trying to break down a door. So if someone is trying to get to you quickly and you are not able to answer the door, having a quicker, less damaging way to get to you is helpful for everyone. So I love that idea of calling. The why community, hold your question and we'll get it at the end. Write it down so you don't forget too. Why community matters. Community is part of your emergency plan. When your routine is noticed, help comes sooner. This is something we've talked about several times, but all of us know someone, all of us know a story where something wasn't exactly right. You didn't see the thing, the person, maybe their trash can stayed out and they were always very on top of moving those trash cans back. Following routines and knowing and keeping an eye on each other is so very important. This is for you, Mikhail. Can you give us a story? Because we talked about this.
So I had a friend, her name was Miss Arnold. And every week I would go and check on her. Some days we would be sewing. Some days we would be flipping through the channels, watching Westerns, or just helping her organize her house. Whatever Miss Arnold needed is what we were going to do that day. And so I came to know Miss Arnold very well and knew that she had a walker always in her van and next to her side. And the information gathering, the conversations we had, I knew the garage code. I knew the in case of emergency contacts, where the keys were, and things like that. So actually on my birthday, I told her, hey, Miss Arnold, I'll be out of town this week. I'm going to come see you twice this week. So I go the second time to see her, and it's the day before my birthday. And she's expecting me. And I knock on the door, can't get her. Knock on the back door, can't get her. I look in her van, her walker's there. I look inside the house, her walker's right by, you can see it through the front patio glass. And so this is not Miss Arnold's normal. This is not Miss Arnold's norm, because she's always excited to see me, almost as excited as I am to see her. And so I was able to use the information that I had and get her door open. Well, Miss Arnold had a medical emergency. She had a stroke. And her daughter had already came and checked on her that day. And not 100% sure when her daughter was going to come back. But had I not been checking on her or known Miss Arnold's routine, it could have been detrimental. She ended up surviving, but later passing on, but surviving long enough that she was able to get her affairs in order. So, providing that information to our dispatch or just your neighbors. Miss Arnold had lived there for 20 or 30 years. So all her neighbors knew, hey, her lights come on every night at 8:00. And it would be kind of weird if her lights did not come on when when it got dark. And so I got called over there one day when her lights just stayed on, and I forgot. I'm so sorry. It's things like that. So knowing your neighbors and that having a routine or just checking up on your neighbors and knowing their routine, that helps a lot.
Well, I know people in this room that I talked to very recently that have said that the reason why they're still able to live in their home is because of good neighbors. And so being a good neighbor, that is a good reason to call 911. If you know that you have a neighbor that normally does something and they don't do it, again, tax dollars are paying for you guys to go and check on them. That's something wonderful that our community has. So making that call and making sure that that we're looking out for the people around us. It's just really what makes being an Oklahoma city and so special, because we do look out for each other. Do either one of you have any instances that you feel like weren't talking about the importance of community?
Yeah, so I actually had a lady, she had a neck procedure done, and while she was able to get herself home, while she was getting out of her vehicle, she actually ended up passing out in the driveway. And that was about 5 o'clock, maybe like that. You heard she was unconscious for several hours, woke up and was able to get herself into her home, but not to a phone. And her friend, who she always goes shopping with, they go multiple times a week shopping, was like, hey, I have heard from my friend, and it's 9:30, and we should be planning our shopping for the day. And so she went over to the house and noticed some stuff was not normal. The door was open, that she went in and somebody was laying there. She was conscious, but she had not been able to get to the phone. And so from 5 p.m. the previous night to 9:30 a.m. the next morning, she was laying on the ground. And so her friend was able to call 911, and I was able to talk to her. It was actually her birthday, so it was a terrible way for her to end her birthday. And I did ask her, I said, do you live alone? And she said, yes. I said, do you have a panic button? She said, no. I said, I need you to get a panic button, because if you live alone and you press that panic button, it's going to call the alarm company, and they're going to contact us, and we're going to be able to get help out for you. And so that instance of just them having a routine, and she knew something was off. She went over to check on her friend, and she was able to get the help that she needed to make sure that she was going to be able to see it her next birthday.
Great. Well, Sergeant Washington, I want you to tell us about the SED program and who that's just designed for. Can you tell us a little bit about the SED program?
So the SED program is really, really, really important. It's your tax dollars going to help for you before any questions are asked. Our SED program, it's Special Needs Alert and Identification Program, and it allows law enforcement, and it only goes to law enforcement. We're not sending this information anywhere else. It's strictly for us to help you when helping yourself is not the easiest at that time. If we have folks that have Alzheimer's, any sort of diagnoses where they get confused, any diabetic patient where they may appear to be drunk, but their diabetes is just acting up that day, it's in that database there. And it allows us to know that Miss Smith has diabetes and she wanders and she gets confused. She is familiar with these places here. And also it allows you to provide a picture there. So if we're able to look at the picture and know, hey, that's Miss Smith, she lives here, these are her diagnoses, we can start helping you without you even providing us any additional information. A way that this has helped me personally, is there was a senior that was confused. She couldn't tell us her name. But using this database, I knew if I were to talk to her and say, hey, who's your husband? She could tell me, oh, my husband is so-and-so. I missed when he called me by the name that only they know. So I can provide that information to dispatch. The information I have is a first name, and she appears to be 80 years old. They can look through that system there and look up, and then they can email me that picture that is in that SED program, and then we can provide that help for you when it's not the easiest to provide help. Yes, ma'am. That's SED program, Special Needs Alert and Identification Program. There's forms over there on that back wall of there. But the program, it is a lifesaver for a lot of folks. I can't stress it enough. If you even think you need to put your name down in this SED program, please do it. Oklahoma City, they have what's called SALT, Seniors and Law Enforcement Together. That helps seniors not become victims. And Triad, it does the same thing. They're similar, but they're different. One is very informative about not becoming a victim, ways to not become a victim. And one is, what are my rights as a victim? What do I need to do what do I need to do moving forward so I don't become a victim?
So what I loved, and when we were talking, one of the things that just struck me is it's one thing, because we represent several different municipalities and communities in this branch. And so it's very difficult for us to say, well, this has this, because different communities have different things. But your community has a record-keeping resource, and it allows the different communities to interact and provide information. So, for instance, if you are a resident in Moore and are in the said program, but you encounter a medical emergency in Oklahoma City, then those departments can talk and coordinate and work together to make sure that you have the care and resources that you need. Is that true?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely true. Another real world example. They're the important ones taking the calls, and we're the ones out there doing the grunt work. So I have a lot of real world experience.
That's debated on your section.
But Oklahoma City had called about a citizen who they were confused and didn't know where they were. All they had was a phone number. And they provided that information to our dispatch, and they were able to look up in our water records and see that this was Mr. Smith. And I go over to Mr. Smith's house and able to see, yes, the address matches up with the phone number, albeit that Mr. Smith was in Oklahoma City. They were able to call around to other municipalities and agencies to see where Mr. Smith belonged. And that information sharing was great amongst law enforcement across the board.
David, how do we find out about other resources that might be the right call when 911 is not the right call?
Okay, so there's a lot of instances where it don't necessarily need to go to the hospital, but things you need help, right? There's and it's the biggest thing that we I think we do this to a large degree is to try to get to the point where we don't have to call 911 for some of the less severe instances. We are prepared and have made our houses a place that's safe for us. So Oklahoma City has it's called the Mobile Integrated Health Group. Lori, who's she heads up Mobile Integrated Health. We've got some information back there. And Mobile Integrated Health has basically there's different divisions of it, but it's meant to help deal with psychiatric issues. So not necessarily that you're schizophrenic or something like that, but Alzheimer's and dementia, different things like that. Those illnesses cause instances where either you can't handle a family member or you struggle dealing just with life problems. And they have counselors and paramedics that are part of that thing. They can help you get resources that are available within Oklahoma City and through your insurance, through different programs, so that you can get the help that you need to help manage that, whether it's a family member or whether it's yourself. But underneath the Mobile Integrated Health is CAP, CAP, which is our Citizens Advocacy Program. And that is meant to help you when you got to the point that you want to stay living by yourself, but you're having a hard time cleaning, you're having a hard time feeding yourself, you're having a hard time acquiring food and other resources in life. While there's programs out there that may help you do those things, you don't know what they are and you don't know where to start. CAP is where you can go to reach those resources, and there are individuals within CAP that will help you find through different programs within Oklahoma City, within Oklahoma, to find those resources. Whether it's, hey, I'm having a hard time, and this is where we find you guys a lot, getting off of the stool, getting off of the toilet, because we've fallen. Getting a handle installed so that you can help get yourself up. Making sure that you have a walker so that you can get it from point A to point B in your house, because it happens. And so there are resources available so that we can get to the point to where we're not having to come pick you up or different things like that, because you've made the right, taken the right steps to make sure you have the right resources within your household to where you're able to better take care of yourself.
He brought up the mental health side of it, the Alzheimer's, dementia. I want everybody to please write this number down, 988. If you are confused or you feel like you're in a mental health crisis, please, please, please call that number. It's going to be 988.
Perfect. I love that. Thank you. Okay. We're going to take some questions. So again, Amy, you're gonna mic run. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give Corey a mic and we're gonna give Amy a mic. You're gonna raise your hand, and as a reminder, we want to hear your stories, but right now is for questions. So if it is a comment, come find me after, because I do want to hear your comments. But if you have a question, then we would like to take a question. And I know, I know let's start with you, Amy.
The number to call for the Oklahoma City to tell them a garage door code that, the key is hidden somewhere.
So I don't have it's the non-emergency number. So if you go online and look up the Oklahoma City non-emergency number, you can contact them and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. And they'll be able to get that information into the cab, because that is still dispatch.
Corey?
And dispatch received text messages.
Yes. I know for sure at the city of Warren, I can't speak for any department because not every department has it, but I know the Metro does. Oklahoma City, Moore, and Norman can all receive text messages. And so it works the same exact way as a phone call. We're going to go through the same series of questions. And this is super helpful for people who are finding themselves in a situation where they cannot make a phone call, where they can't talk.
Perfect. Amy?
Okay, we have 2 questions, but so just remember, there's 2 questions, right?
Okay.
Okay, so we all live in different cities. So what would be the best proactive way to find out what your particular city has in the way of resources in the times of emergency?
Call that non-emergency number. So if you live in Oklahoma City, Amy provided it. If you live in Moore, I can give you, does anyone live in Moore? Okay, I can give you the Moore non-emergency phone number, and it's 405-793-5171. And you're going to press option 1 to speak with dispatch, and we will gather that information and send it to the appropriate people to get that intern.
Okay, and the second one?
Okay, so what if someone has a DNR and what happens if 911 is called in that case?
Okay. So it has to be assigned by a doctor, by physician, a witness, and the person. It has to be an official DNR. If they have a DNR, it's on one, because there's advanced directives, there's DNRs, there's a lot of different versions. We'll read through them and follow them appropriately. Let's say it's just straight DNR, no invasive care. It should be taken if my heart stops or if I stop breathing. We will, if they're still breathing when their heart stopped, that usually doesn't happen, but they stop breathing. But once in a while, their heart still beats.
You're fine, David. You're doing good.
Anyway, sorry. You won't do it. Basically, we'll let the family know if they have the DNR. We're not allowed to do anything. We're sorry for your loss. PD will be on scene. We'll then usually leave it with PD in Oklahoma City, because PD will then contact all the different people involved in making sure that problem is handled. I say problem. That is not the way to say it. The event is handled, and that you guys have the resources you need to lead that.
But if you don't have that available, they would know it.
Right. So we did talk about the information that we needed on the refrigerator, list of all that kind of stuff. If you do have a DNR, that is so important, because the saddest thing is when they do have a DNR, and we have to work the main words. If we do not have it in hand, we have to work them, and we can get them back, and they don't want that. And that is a difficult thing, just to stop. So,
From a dispatcher's perspective, we continue with questioning as we have. And there is, on certain circumstances, there is a question where you ask if the patient has DNR, but we still go through an extensive series of questions until we get to that point. So it's like we go to the home, so I'm like, can I 911 call right in?
Well, if you live in Moore, that SEND program, there's a place in there for notes. If you do have a DNR, please put that in there. It'll be at this location, on my fridge, on my desk. if wherever it will be, but that on your Senate program. That way we have a question for you. Can they tell dispatch where there'd be an argument? Yeah, they live in Oklahoma City.
Yes, they can, any information that's related to dispatch will show up on our computer, and we'll be able to then find it when we adjourn.
Corey?
So the question I got in related to this, it's, Oklahoma County Sheriff's Department provides us with some yellow cards that, it's the information you're looking for, hang on the bridge. Is this a standard card that other cities use, or is that just down the only, or you guys don't?
So we have a blue, it's called blue envelope. You can get it from Workplace Department, and it goes in your car. That way, if you're driving around and you're not confused, or you're just stopped by law enforcement, you hand that card over, that envelope over to them, and it has all your information in one place.
Cool. Very cool. Katie?
My question is, what kind of response should we have if we have both a landline and a cell phone? We've kept our landline, but we still have them, and probably maybe the only ones doing it too.
You're not.
So, which calls are more effective when we call 911? Does it matter?
So if you call 911, it does not matter if you are using a landline or if you are using a cell phone. For our technology that we have, it is getting more advanced. So a landline gives us a more solid meaning as to where that call is coming from, whereas a cell phone is going to initially get off the closest cell tower, and then it's going to hit also a radius that may be close to your house. It could be 50 feet from where you're actually calling from. It could be 100 for where you're calling from. But we will use that radius to determine the most accurate address and send responders to that area, and then use our database that we have to check from prior calling history with that phone number and with the addresses that are in that area where that call is coming from. So your response is going to be the same, and we just have to jump through a few more leaps to figure out exactly where to call them.
Corey?
If you be transporting to a hospital where he decides to take sheep.
So it depends. If the issue is unconscious and unresponsive, we're going to go to the closest, most appropriate hospital. If they are conscious, you really have the choice to go almost wherever you want. Now that is stipulated with what's your issue. Some people will want to go to Park South when they've got a broken arm, and Park South won't accept that. That's not a hard issue. They won't do it, but it happened. Yes. And we didn't tell them that you can't go to this hospital because, but my heart, I understand that you're having diabetes problems. This and that thing, And so we established with them. Really, that's more of the ambulance of MSTAG work. We did more at IMSA and Oklahoma City and other areas. They'll discuss with you. They'll give you suggestions as well, because there are some hospitals that will handle certain things better than others will. But then also you guys have insurance that is covered by certain hospitals, and we want to make sure that that's covered as well. So all of those things come into effect. It's all in all your choice.
Amy?
I personally would like to thank you guys for all the things you do for us, because it's really, look, actually, I think it's,
This made us something to do that on any day. And talk about CIT officers and as it relates to living on television.
Yeah, so more, I believe, almost all of them are also your CIT training. CIT is Crisis Intervention Team. We're trained to be able to identify and know the resources, the correct paperwork, documentation, everything like that is needed for us to provide that mental health for you guys. Now, if you're in mental health crisis, that doesn't always 100% mean that we're able to take you and provide you that additional assistance, such as mental health hospitals, things like that. CIT teaches us to I feel to identify what exactly is going on at our level. We're always going to say, I'm not a doctor. When I tell folks that I'm going to take you to someone who's smarter than me, and they're able to tell you exactly what's going on. And that's the way that it makes me feel more comfortable leaving their house or leaving from where they're comfortable at because they know where they're going.
Perfect. Let's see. I think we're going to do probably 2 more questions, but if we don't get to your question, I do want you to come and visit us. Are you guys okay with staying here for just a minute to answer questions? So we will get your question answered, but it may not be from the stage. Yeah, Amy?
Yes, is there a limit to how many times a person can call for, say, like a fault issue or something like that, to where you're going to get charged or something like that? I know Oklahoma City does not.
I know Kiara told me that that I don't have 1 ticket for the day. I know that.
There's no limit. You can call as many times as you need to. And it just tracks the number of times that you've called, which actually end up helping people know that, hey, you've called for a fall 15 times in the last 2 months. It may be time to help you get in the next year because you're obviously not able to move around on your own without getting injured.
Okay, where's our last question? Corey, you got it?
So if you live in an gated community, how do you guys get in there?
Well, within our usually within the CAT system, when we do we go around, we do district familiarization and different things like that. Most communities that are gated have what's called a Knox key, and that Knox key is a single key that will open almost any building in the city. I could get into this building right here with my Knox key. I guarantee you there's one outside. There shouldn't be. Restaurants, banks, medical facilities, they all have Knox keys. And on the gate, there's usually a secondary switch that is either a Knox switch or it's something that we can engage usually when they're set up. If not, when we do district familiarization and we're going around and we drive by this neighborhood and we go, oh, there's a bunch of big houses in there that if they caught on fire or somebody got hurt, we're going to need to be able to get in there, and that gate's in the way. We're going to then contact the property manager and get a key or a code of what that we need. And whenever we get any kind of all of the geofencing or all of the addresses within that area, we'll then have that note in there and it will be put on our computer so that we can respond and open those things whenever we need to.
Well, okay. Well, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I mean, also that SAD program. I think you raised your hand when you said you lived more, correct? Maybe it was someone around you. But also the SAD program. You could put your gate code for your house, as well as if you live in the Grove is a senior living facility and more.
We don't say facility here. We say community.
I apologize.
Don't say the F word from my stage.
I'll be better.
Okay.
But we have the law, which the gate codes at floor for every community and hospital, apartment complex. Anybody that has a gate, we have a gate code for it. And there's also a place where your incent program will have, like Jesus is lady, where you put that there.
Awesome. Guys, can we just give them a hand? They did a great job. All right, education partners, I would love for you to go ahead and get back to your table. And remember, I want you to go by and see what they've got for you. They've got some great information today. Carol Harden dropped off some trial papers down at her table. And remember, please join us in March for the truth about renovations and repairs. Guys, there's so much misinformation out there about repairs and updates and what's required. So please join us for that. And guys, you hang around and let's see. Oh, the last thing. You guys, you owe me. This is a free presentation, so make sure you owe me your yellow page. Fill out your yellow form and give it to a member of my team before you leave. This helps us so much. And big thank you to our education partners as always. Have a great day. Happy Valentine's Day. Thanks, guys.